This video is a continuation of my previous one on change in the self. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend doing so before proceeding with this one. In the previous video, I concluded with the logical realization that I am nothing. And if I'm nothing, I'm everything, and thus undivided from everything, or undivided from reality. I saw that I cannot change because I experience everything that would be considered change. So my personality can change. There can be different moods, have different likes and dislikes. These can all rise and fall away, but I continue. If I don't change, and I'm one with reality, what does that say about reality? In this video, I want to explore that. The one place to start, I think, is with the block theory of the universe. So this theory is something that I heard about a few years ago, and I liked it. I liked how it looked at the perception of time as basically an illusion. If you don't know, the block theory of the universe is a theory of time. In this theory, past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in a four-dimensional space-time block. So time is seen as another dimension like space, and all moments exist simultaneously and equally. I like that this theory resonates with many religious and philosophical perspectives on time, where time is seen as an illusion, and there is an underlying, timeless, undivided reality. This is a great place to start. Where this goes, I don't know. I guess that's the fun part. My big question from the last video, and has been for a while, is how do we experience change? In the block theory of the universe, the standard explanation is that from the perspective of an observer within the block universe, change is experienced as transitions between different configurations of events. So the experience of change arises as the observer's perception shifts from one moment to the next along a time dimension. So this views the experience of the observer almost like a spotlight on an area of time. Now the whole block is there, but the spotlight changes. Now I think this is a problem because it still suggests the idea of time, or idea of change, at least. So I like to think of the old Times Square ball that would, in New York, that would drop on New Year's Eve. So this was the old one that had many light bulbs. So you can think of the block universe like this. All the light bulbs represent different segments of time, and the present moment is the light bulb that is lit. As the observer experiences changes, the light bulb changes to a different light bulb. So you can see the movement of the light as the observer's perception shifts from one moment to the next. The problem is that it's still changing. Now, the block theory is supposed to eliminate the perception of the passage of time. But it doesn't, because it still has to contend with the experience of change. I don't think the block universe can do that. I think that the main aim was to align with Einstein's theory of relativity, where time is seen as another dimension like space. It also aligns with determinism, where everything is predetermined. I don't agree with that. But, like I said before, the block theory is an interesting place to start. So let's keep that same idea of the globe with lights. And now let's say we have two people, two observers. So you can see the lights moving around the globe. But now let's put in 3 people, 4 people, 5. So many people that the globe is now completely lit up all the time. So we have every experience now, and there is no movement of an observer through the dimension of time. Now, one thing, again, with the block theory is talking about the observer. This is also a problem. There is nothing moving. So when I look at the totality of the now moment, Everything is in that moment. Everything is a part of that moment. There is no I separate from it. All perceptions, all thoughts, all feelings are part of the block. So there's nothing left outside of it. So there is nothing moving through the global lights. Okay. Now this works as an explanation, but it's still challenging to reconcile with the experience of change. And when I see my hand moving, how am I experiencing that? Now, we could look at change as a quality. So instead of things changing, change itself is a quality, like the smell of a flower or the sight of a cloud. Touch, taste, change, and continuity all exist as qualities. Okay, that seems to work. So there's nothing continuing. Logically, that makes sense. So I can wake up as a different person tomorrow in a completely different place, and it would still be me. So I've experienced this in my dreams, where I'm a completely different person, have different likes, dislikes, but it's still me. However, I don't think that even this model can fully account for the perception of change. To go further, we have to let go of traditional logic. Traditional logic relies on bivalent thinking, where there are only two values, yes, no, or A and not A. So it includes the law of the excluded middle, which asserts that something cannot be both A and not A. Now that works for things that are in reality. However, many people studying aspects of reality often confuse these aspects with reality itself. So I distinguish between in reality and of reality. So within reality, two-valued logic is effective. But when discussing the nature of reality itself, this logic falls short. I think the term non-dual comes closest to capturing this concept. So what I'm suggesting is a step further. So adopting a four-valued logic or quadrilemic logic, where the possible values are yes, no, both, and neither, or A, not A, both A and not A, and neither A nor not A. So this understanding provides a better grasp of what reality is. With this understanding, let's examine what change is. So a universe that is static and never changes obviously doesn't change. But what about a universe that is constantly changing? For such a universe, the only way to change would be to stop changing. Therefore, it isn't changing, even though it appears to be. So another way to look at this is to have an example of a glass of water with some drops of oil in it. Now, if I mix it up, I could ask, has it changed? Are they different? The amount of water and the oil remains the same. And so in a sense, it hasn't changed. But the configuration has changed. So if we think about the globe with the lights, every possible configuration exists now. And of course, it has to exist now because now is the only time that there is. Everything that has ever happened now. When I was born, it was now. When I graduated high school, it was now. The Big Bang happened now. So every configuration exists now. And this works as a theory, but it doesn't seem to match up with the experience of change. Okay, so let's change the idea of what change is. When I talk about change, it's looking at reality in pieces. So things are changing into something else. So a car is moving from here to here, or an apple is rotting and changing into something else. We see things change. Perhaps that's the mistake of seeing reality as made up of things. This can be seen clearly if you look into what a thing actually is. So take something as simple as a car. What is a car? Is it the shape? Well, if you smash the car down, is it still a car? Yes. Okay, so it's not just the shape. You take off a tire, is it still a car? It is. So it's not the totality of the parts either. Then is it the parts? If you lay out all the parts on a mat, is that a car? No. So it's not simply the shape or the parts. Okay, so you can find all these contradictions, and you'll never truly pinpoint what a car is. It's just an idea or a designation that we all agree upon. Perhaps seeing change as the totality of reality, chopped into pieces, is where the error lies. But what if change is not a quality? What if change is reality itself? Reality is change. So it's not changing from something into something else. It is only what it is, and it's only now. It's constant movement. It's alive. So what I'm seeing when I see things move is now, is this. So now is clear. And ideas of past and future are like ripples that emulate from now, not behind or in front, but extending outward from the present. So there's this that is clear, while the past and future exist, but they exist less brightly or less clearly. So it's not something moving through time. It is now with these ripples that only exist now. What we're left with is this: pure creation. Every moment is creation from nothing into nothing, or nothing different. It is pure creation embodying both potentiality and actuality simultaneously. It is constantly changing, constantly moving, yet the totality remains static. You can see this dichotomy in the teaching of various spiritual teachers and texts. So some describe reality as static, while others depict it as dynamic. Well, what is it? Both. Neither. Static and dynamic are just merely different perspectives on the same reality. And these all lead to paradox. Well, a paradox is often avoided as an indication that there's a mistake. But when you're talking about the totality of reality, it is the only landing place. It's not even a place to land, but it gets you as close as you can to what reality is. So then we're left with this. I think the best way to look at it is pure creation. Every moment is alive, bringing forth itself. So I think this is a lot to think about. It's very interesting. Well, I think that's it for now. So I've enjoyed this journey. Until next time.